This is Scott Adkins, and you're listening to BehindTheMaskPresents.com.
Yeah, and the baby.
Goro is somewhere inside the jungles outside Rangoon.
I'm going after him.
You're going to Burma. It's suicide.
It's justice. This is Goro's territory, isn't it? Hit me. Where's Goro?
Why are you asking about Goro?
This makes you a target. I'm telling you to live. A man who seeks revenge should dig 2 graves.
You're gonna need a lot more than that.
BehindTheMaskPresents.com, here with the most complete fighter in the world, Scott Adkins, and he's just released Ninja: Shadow of a Tear in just the nick of time to be deemed the greatest action film of 2013. How are you doing, Scott?
I'm okay, but I've got to correct you there. Boyka is the most complete fighter. Scott Adkins, not so much. I'm just a normal dude.
Oh man, you could fool me, and you could fool everybody else, because it's not just that character, man. I mean, you're holding the action for it alive, and actually, I think films like yours are keeping the genre alive, if you ask me.
I suppose, yeah. No easy task, though.
The first Ninja film has amassed a cult following since its release nearly 4 or 5 years ago, something like that, 2009. What was your main interest in returning to this character? Did you feel that there was more to say with the story?
To be honest, we were kind of expecting to do Undisputed 4 rather than Ninja 2, because we felt that Undisputed and the Boyka character was a much better film and character. So we didn't really see Ninja 2 coming, but apparently it did well, and it made some good money, more money than Undisputed 3, which is surprising to a lot of people, I think. But when the opportunity did arise, we certainly thought, well, maybe we can go back and correct some of the mistakes that we thought we did on the first one. Not to put the film down too much, because it has its charm and it is what it is. But we were disappointed about the first one for a few reasons. So it was nice to go back and try and correct that, yeah.
That's kind of cool that you beat me to the punch on that. I wasn't going to knock the first film at all, but I mean, I was going to say that you've successfully been part of something that's normally an impossibility, and that's a sequel that far exceeds the original. At its core, the original was a really fun film, where with Shadow of a Tear, the Casey character is presented with a much greater complexity, and it's a much grittier film. I mean, is that fair to say?
Yeah. Well, we thought that the character was a little bit bland, a little bit of a goody two-shoes in the first one, not very interesting. And part of that... sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying Isaac Florentine, I think he described it as comic booky.
Yeah, comic booky, and perhaps the CGI wasn't as good as it should have been, and you know, we just wanted to make an old-school action movie with this one that's just concentrating on the fight scenes, with something that we believe we're very good at, and to get rid of any of the gimmicks and just make it an old-school martial arts movie. That's the sort of stuff that we enjoy to watch, and I think it's clear to see that most people enjoy to watch that sort of thing, because I don't think there's much of that around anymore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, agreed, especially in the mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I was sure for myself to watch both. I rewatched the first one before I got to preview this one, and the contrast between the two is just insane when you watch them back to back. They're kind of completely different. I mean, I don't know. The second one just exceeds the first one in every single way. I recently spoke to Isaac Florentine, and when questioned about the prospects of a third Ninja film, we then got into a really nice discussion about the current state of movie piracy. Is it the smaller and more independent films that are suffering from this in particular? And because it sure doesn't seem that people seeing films like The Expendables 2, for example. It's not hurting the mainstream. Is it these smaller ones?
No, look, there's these big films that get made. They've got a lot of money behind them. Tons of money goes into the marketing. They're made to go on the theatre and be seen in the cinemas in 3D and all the rest of it. They're fine. They're going to make their money. But films like this are specifically made for DVD or video on demand. They're within that certain budget range where it can be done or used to be able to be done. And, you know, they rely on people spending money in the video stores, which don't exist anymore, or online, or to buy the DVD or Blu-ray. So the fact that people aren't doing that and they're downloading it for free, these films don't get money from anywhere. They don't really get shown on the television either because those spaces are took up by the bigger theatrical, more well-known films. These are genre movies. And people can argue, well, make a better movie then, and it might break through and get on the theaters and all the rest of it. But it doesn't work that way. These are genre films. They're made for this specific market. And if people don't go out and support them with their money, you're just not going to get these films anymore. And that's just the sad truth. People are always sending me messages about when are we going to see Undisputed 4. Well, if you sended that message and you didn't pay for Undisputed 3, you've only got yourself to blame. You know what I mean?
Now, I've seen online rumblings about Undisputed 4, fan petition work in particular. Is that in any way, shape, or form going forward yet, or are we still sort of in that limbo period because of, you know, the finances of the third one and its return and what?
No, it's definitely going forward, and I think the distributors can certainly see that there's a lot of fans of Boyka and the Undisputed franchise. They can see that they can make money. But I guess Ninja 2 needs to perform well for us to get the green light. So I guess we're going to be waiting to see what happens because, after all, it is the same team.
Mm-hmm. Now, I describe you as being at the top of the heap as far as this generation's action stars goes, and you've been able to work with all the greats. Is there anyone of the bunch in particular that you admired more than anybody growing up that maybe you were caught fanboying with on the first day of shooting?
Yeah, I was pretty damn starstruck with Jackie Chan, and this was when I was first starting out as well, so still quite young and green to the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And, he was a huge inspiration. And Van Damme was always a huge inspiration. Mm-hmm. Listen, Bruce Lee is the main guy, and but, when Van Damme came along, because he was I could relate to him more because he was a white guy. Mm-hmm. He had the physique of Stallone and Arnold, and he's such a charismatic bloke. And my bedroom wall was covered with Van Damme. I think my mom was a bit worried about me when I was a teenager because I had pictures of
my mom wasn't worried about my obsession with Van Damme because she had the hots for him. So he kind of had that broad appeal to everybody,
She was okay with it then.
She was okay with it. And your on-screen chemistry with Van Damme specifically is actually really amazing. And I want to throw out there that just how much I loved Assassination Games. For me as a kid,
cool.
For me as a kid, Van Damme was always my favorite a long time ago. And I remember thinking when that film came out, I felt it stood up against anything that he did at the start of his career. And your fight scene at the end of Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning, oh man, that's about as great as it gets too. So hopefully you can work with him more in the future.
Yeah, no, I've done 4 films with Van Damme now, but to be honest, I feel sorry for him because I keep cropping up in his films. I need to leave him alone now because he might be getting sick of me. Oh, not the British kid again, shit. So I'll give him a break now, I think.
That's when you just change.
But no, he's a great guy, and for sure, he's the reason that a huge part of the reason why I do what I do today.
Mm-hmm. And for myself, as I was saying earlier, it seems that you're keeping the smaller films alive, and films like this are keeping the industry alive. It's films like this. It's films like The Raid Redemption. It's these places that we're getting pure cinema still, with fight sequences that aren't watered down and played with cutaways. I wanted to ask you how you feel about modern mainstream action as opposed to 30 and 40 years ago. Do you think they play it safe?
I think they have to play it safe because, listen, it's not easy to do what we do. To do a fight scene the way we do it, we might make it look easy, but it certainly isn't easy. You've got to have a cameraman that knows exactly what to do. You've got to have a director that not only knows how to shoot it, but also is aware of how much time you need to make the action good and schedule it accordingly. But, to be in there doing it all in one take and making the hits work from all the various different angles is not very easy. So when you get an actor that might not be as physically gifted, you'll find tricks to get around that. It used to be that you'd use a stunt double a lot more, but now they'll just use quick cuts and shaky cam. Or, you can do it the Matrix way and train them up for a long time. I think that worked perfectly. It's not an easy way to do it, but certainly after the Matrix in '99, I thought to myself, well, this is it now. Hollywood's finally understanding how to make action as good as they do in the East, but then we had this sort of shaky cam thing take over, which I don't understand, to be honest. I understand why you do it, but sometimes they do it even when they don't have to.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
and it's annoying.
The movie that comes to mind when I think of things like that, and as much as I'm a huge fan of it, not the second one, but the first Expendables, you get a whole bunch of these big, heavy-hitting hot shots in one movie, and I know Stallone. Believe me, we've all seen Rambo 4. I mean, it can be gritty, it can be violent, but it was riddled with cutaways. They fixed that in the second one, the one you were involved with, and it was a lot better. I just didn't quite understand that, and then I think the same year I went out and saw the third Universal Soldier movie or something like that, and I was like, oh wow, they still do this. It looks like that guy's face got smashed, legit, But
probably because it did.
The second one, though, they fixed it, so no worries there. But in real life, come on, there was no way that Jason Statham was going to beat you.
Oh, well.
Come on.
No comment.
No comment.
He's a great guy, and do you know what? There's sometimes you've got to deal with a bit of action man politics. People don't want to get killed by different people.
Yeah.
I didn't come across that with Statham at all. He was aware that I needed to show some of my stuff so that my fan base could see it and maybe get more fans or whatever. And he was happy to let me, land a few kicks on him and all the rest of it. He was great to work with, and a really very accomplished, fight guy, obviously.
Oh no,
he was great.
Huge fan of him too. And actually, it's funny you mentioned the politics part. I hear Jean-Claude Van Damme hates getting killed on screen, and was it particularly tough for him to lose the bout in the fourth Universal Soldier flick?
Well, I think a lot of them hate getting killed on screen. It's an ego thing, but I mean, we're actors at the end of the day, and it shouldn't really make a difference, but I can understand where it comes from. But Van Damme allowed me to kill him on screen, so I should think myself lucky and thank him for that. It did feel like he was kind of passing the torch, to be honest, which I don't know how aware of that he was, but I certainly thought about that, and it definitely meant a lot to me because, I've been such a huge fan of his all my life, so
it's got to be an honor, man.
Important moment for me, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of acting, is it fair to say that you strive to be even more versatile than your standard beat-em-up guy with parts in films like Zero Dark 30 and your big role coming up in The Legend of Hercules?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always been trying to stretch myself as an actor and improve, and I think it's evident that every film I get better as an actor. That's eventually the goal. My body's not going to last me for the rest of my life,
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of pressure that I put on my joints doing these action films, and I hope that one day I'll be able to have a career that allows me to just be the actor, so definitely working towards that.
Mm-hmm. Geez, speaking of your body and things like that, let's say Undisputed 4 is gonna start any time now. How many weeks do you need to set aside for training to get into that shape? I need a good 3 months really, because of more for putting on the muscle than anything else, because that takes a long time, and you've got to be very dedicated. It's not that hard for me to put on muscle, but you do need to eat a lot more, and I'm not very good with that side of things. I'm not very disciplined when it comes to eating. Mm-hmm. I'll eat less rather than more, but it's hard to eat a lot of the good stuff, you know what I mean? Oh, absolutely.
So I need a good 3 months, which I'll probably end up with a phone call saying, right, we're doing it next month. I mean, who knows?
Oh, it's cool, man. It's tough waking up in the middle of your sleeping schedule to drink a protein shake and then go back to bed.
Exactly, yeah. It's tough on your partner as well with too much protein in your system.
I know what you're not. Can you tell us about anything about your role in Hercules?
I play King Amphitryon, who is the stepfather of Hercules. He doesn't know that when the film starts. He doesn't know that his wife has betrayed him and slept with a god. But these things become apparent as the story moves on, and it's really the story of Hercules as a teenager becoming a man and discovering who he is, that he's a demigod, and how he reacts. And my character is a villainous type of part, but tried to make him fully rounded. And yeah, it was great to play that part, actually. It's something I've never done before, and certainly the style of film I'd never done before, and the character was much different than anything I've played before, so I really enjoyed it.
Oh, very cool.
I've not seen the film yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing it soon.
Very cool. And because I just have to ask as a fan myself, and now that it's all done and over with, and I think it's okay, were you almost Batman?
I don't even know if I'm supposed to talk about it. But
after the fact?
Well, yeah, shouldn't hurt, should it? They asked me to audition, yeah. So I did. But that's as far as it went. I know there was a big campaign on the internet, which was great, a bit of free publicity. But I think that's because, obviously, Batman's a martial artist. That's his superpower, isn't it?
Yeah.
People are disappointed that he's not been shown off as the martial artist that he should be. I guess I look like Bruce Wayne.
Well, essentially,
yeah.
I think you would make a perfect Batman, hypothetically. I mean, anybody... I think a lot of people can play the Bruce Wayne character, and anybody can make it their own. I mean, everybody that's played him before has done something different. My personal favorite's Michael Keaton, even though really, by textbook standards, he's not what you'd think. So you have everything that they've been missing in Hollywood this whole time. But I don't know. I thought it was very interesting. I thought the fan petitioning was pretty insane because I know a lot of people that are more of your casual moviegoers. They're not, like you say, genre people, and they all know who you are now. And
oh, that's cool. Listen, I wasn't crossing my fingers. I wasn't holding my breath. It was great to be. It was great to have the opportunity to audition and let some of those people up in the higher positions know who I am and look at me. But I never expected it to happen. But that whole thing on the internet was just, I'm flattered.
Yeah.
But Ben Affleck, I think, is going to do an amazing job. I've always been a huge fan of his, and maybe when I've won an Oscar, I'll get the kind of luck that he's got. Because it's not luck, is it? He deserves it.
Yeah. Was it weird going into? What's the difference of going into an audition like that opposed to, I don't know, Assassination Games or something?
Well, you can't put too much pressure on yourself. Just think of it as another audition. Otherwise, you're gonna mess it up. So yeah, it's best not to think of the magnitude of it.
To be honest with you, I bet you probably felt pretty good to get it over with.
I was just happy to do it and enjoyed it, to be honest. Really enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
To play that character, even if it was just for a few seconds.
Fantastic. Well, lastly, Scott, what's next from you that the fans can look out for? We know about Hercules. What else?
I did a film with a guy called Wu Jing, who was one of the best Chinese martial arts actors there is in the East. And that's a film about the Chinese military, the modern Chinese military. And, I'm not sure when that comes out, but I had a blast doing that. It was difficult, but I enjoyed working with Wu Jing. He's an amazing martial artist, an amazing person and director. And aside from that, I need to get back to work and, just wait to see what the next one will be.
Absolutely. Well, Scott, man, I want to thank you a million times over for the time, and I wish you all the best with Ninja Shadow of a Tear, as it really, really deserves it. And hopefully you'll come back to chat with us again for your next film, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Aaron. It's a pleasure.